If I can get the ball rolling, Jim, I have a question for you.
Okay.
I've heard it described on other podcasts as a kind of an epiphany, a moment where you realize something.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
Not really. I wouldn't say, there's a couple of things that I don't know what they're talking about really, because I wouldn't say it's an epiphany where you realize something. There's the end of something that seemed to have been real. And no one has an epiphany. So an epiphany seems to be something really surprising.
Right.
And when this is sort of over, it's not really surprising anymore.
And I've heard it described as like you can't, once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Oh, totally. Well, in a sense. So there's often these experiences what people call glimpses, which I never really had. I had sort of realizations of certain things. But there's a difference between a realization that someone owns, when there's someone there to know about it, and when there's no one left to know about it. So it seems to be, although it's a realization, it seems to be adding something to you. And in the end, it's revealed that there's no one to add anything to. Right. It doesn't belong to anyone. This isn't happening to anyone.
And it was a sudden thing for you? It was a 0 day, the day before you didn't feel it?
But that makes it sound like it really happens. So what we're talking about is something that actually isn't happening, and so the end of it isn't something really happening. The dream and the dreamer are exactly the same thing, so there's no context to talk about the end of the dream, because who's going to know about it? And what that points to is that this is that already. And so there's no need for the entire process. The entire process or the experience of one is just a dream had by an individual. And so the end of it is this. So it just, nothing happened. Nothing ever really happens. It only happens to that dream individual that's moving through time that says at some point I'm going to realize what Jim realized or whatever. And if that happens, nobody realized it. What's realized is what is everything. And it's not happening for anyone.
Is the realization something that can be overlooked? Or does a person know?
No, of course not. No. I mean, in a sense, you could say that that's all that's happening is it's being overlooked.
So it's no longer being overlooked.
Right. Because there's no one left looking. It's actually in the experience of looking for it that it seems to be lost. Because what's truly longed for is the end of seeking. But seeking thinks the end of seeking can be found in knowing and understanding.
Through a journey.
Which is just more seeking. And where else would the end of seeking be, except this?
And what if one just hears the message and accepts it and stops seeking for
Well, that would just be another form of seeking. It's completely unacceptable. But truly, it's unacceptable what we're saying. In every sense of the word. There's no separation to it to accept it, and there's no one that would.
Mm-hmm.
Because the message is you're not.
Yeah.
Who wants that?
But it's all pointless in the end, because everything is just what's happening.
Not pointless for someone. It's not an experience of, this doesn't mean anything to me. It's just that there's no constriction, there's no limit to what is, that it would have to fit into a purpose or a meaning.
And does something really change if everything is just what's happening?
No, nothing ever really changes.
Still everything is what's just happening.
Absolutely.
Including me, no me.
Totally. Well, me, no me is just a story, really.
So the last thing I'm waiting for.
All right, well, the last thing, I've marked it now. 10 minutes after.
Last thing,
Oh, right,
the last
sorry.
thing me is waiting for is some big bang, some
Yeah.
kundalini coming through the head.
That's right.
Nothing like that is gonna happen.
Well, I mean, there are things like Kundalini realizations and all of that, but what's in the end obvious is that nothing's special. See, the specialness arises because the individual thinks it's special and thinks that there's a process necessary to, to reflect its experience of itself as being very complex, complicated. That's why it accepts these idols that it has, the gurus that sit on big chairs and funny hats, because the idea is that reflects what I think needs to happen to me. It can't just be sitting on a chair. I put way too much effort into it for it to be just sitting on a chair.
So is this effortless?
This is effortless. Even being me is effortless. It just feels like it's an effort.
Mm. Can what is be destroyed? Or like,
Well, it isn't there to be destroyed.
Hmm.
There's nothing outside of it to destroy it.
or like to end what is, but it's not
But
begin.
that would be what is.
Right. So there's no.
You talk about what is as a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, an object.
Yeah.
This is what I was talking about in the room before. It feels like 30% of an answer. And everyone is like pregnantly waiting for the rest of the answer that never comes.
I guess the reality is there isn't an answer.
Is there a question? Maybe
There are questions, and that's not the problem. The thing is that the questioner feels like the questions need an answer. And they don't. Because the questioner is an illusion. None of that stuff matters. It doesn't matter. This doesn't have an answer because there's no question about it. The questioner is an illusion.
Okay, I think I understand. Is it something related?
It's not an it. Well, just very simply, what we're talking about is what is free. It's already free. It is exactly the perfection longed for. This already. Already. It's done.
No journey, no...
Well, if there's an experience of a journey, that's perfection appearing as a journey. So this isn't a perfection that's limited or a freedom that's limited. It is absolutely all-encompassing and already so. It's not waiting for anything to happen, which is the experience of the individual. So it's waiting for something to happen. It expects something to happen, that something is going to happen, like the realization or something, for this to be perfect.
If you can think back to that 0 day, is there something that you could share that was perhaps a way of thinking before and a way of thinking after?
If there was, I would. Of course I would. But what you're doing is you're saying something really happened, and that's where it's hooked. And then when something's really happening, there's a cause of something really happening. And that is the covering of this being uncaused. This having no beginning. This being completely new. Appearing as a past, appearing as a possibility. But really, it's singular. It's absolute already.
It sounds awfully recursive. Like
Talking about it does.
Yeah.
Because it's not actually the message that's recursive, it's the experience of the individual that's recursive. It keeps expecting something else and there isn't anything else. So the whole story of me is recursive. It's the effort to try to overcome the need to understand and know through understanding and knowing. And that's a very small circle.
I think that's the definition of insanity.
Yeah.
It's like when you keep trying the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
Different outcome, yeah.
So, what was the thing that happened to you like years ago that brought you to your first teacher?
Well, I
You-
mean,
you
in the
described-
story of Jim,
Yeah.
I would say there was always just a passion for freedom.
Yeah, but in one of the like podcasts, you described this.
Awakening.
Yeah, I was afraid to use the word. So this was just like an experience, like.
I wouldn't call it an experience,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Okay.
something happened.
It seems like the nomenclature is sometimes okay and sometimes not okay.
Which normally, it depends on if it's referring to something really happening or not. If it's talking about an answer to this or something really bringing this about, it's not okay. If it's just a story, then that's just what we're talking about. It's not referring to anything real. It's not trying to be anything real.
Why is it not obvious already? No.
It is.
Is it?
Yeah. It's the most obvious thing.
For you only, I guess.
No, exactly not that. It's the most obvious thing happening. There's just an experience that it needs to be known. And that knowing makes it seem like something needs to happen. That the knowing is actually the experience of I amness. And that says, I know, and then the expectation is I need to know. And so it wants to know what the difference is between us. It wants to know what this has that doesn't. It wants to know what the meaning and purpose of all this is. But the experience of I am is illusory. There isn't any difference. There isn't any meaning and purpose.
Well, it's very easy to believe it, you know?
Oh, it's impossible.
To believe it?
Yeah, totally.
Well, I believe what they're saying.
Oh. So you'll doubt it.
I don't doubt it, you know. It seems to be the way you are describing it. It's just and I think that's why we are here, you know. See if it is possible to see the same way.
Yeah.
I would doubt it if I could, but I don't even have anything to hang the doubt on.
Amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
it's really strange trying to explain what I'm doing here to people. Because I'm like, okay, so there's no you, but I don't know that for sure. So it's just because everything like that, there needs to be a reason for basically everything else that we do, you know, or some sort of sureness about it, or like concreteness, and it's just, I don't know. It sort of feels like I come here because it feels good for me.
I doubt that.
Then what? Then I don't know, because it still feels like I'm this body, you know, but it's very I can't even describe it, you know. But free is the closest I could get. But beyond, like, not even, no word can touch it or can contain, or I don't know. You don't see any me anywhere. Do you see any me in any? But like, apparently, is there a me somewhere?
No. The only me is the claim. Hi, I'm a me. That's the only me there is.
Yeah.
I understand there's that experience.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Because over the course of the past week, the thoughts came up like, oh man, I need to find the person with the least me.
Yeah.
You know, like, is it Tony? Is it Jim? Like, who? This hierarchy of meanness.
No meanness.
Oh, no meanness. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like golf. The lower the me, the better.
Right. Yeah.
So is this an ego thing
Yeah.
in that case?
Oh no.
Not in his case, but in the case of, you know, finding the person with the least amount of me.
No, I think it's doubt. It's fear. Fear of being misled.
This sounds like a linguistic ayahuasca trip. Like it's just the.
Well, what happens, you know, the
Deeper and
individual,
deeper.
that experience is a very tight sort of knowing experience, and it lives within the constraints of what it knows, and when that breaks up a bit, it doesn't actually understand everything that's happening. So it feels odd. Because its normal pathways aren't functioning the way they were before. There's something else happening.
Well, that's ironic because isn't the individual always living in something else? You know what I mean?
Oh, totally. But as a need.
Okay. Yeah. Like, I couldn't bring this about if I wanted to. Or like bring about the
How could you bring about what is already?
Yeah, but it's interesting because you're talking about a sort of process of like when me starts to deconstruct or whatever, you know, as if it's something that's happening in time.
It apparently does happen.
This kind of this, is it related in some way to, how would you describe its connection to consciousness?
This?
Yeah, because it sounds like it's this and not this at the same time.
Totally.
And is
Yeah.
that in some, how does that relate to consciousness?
Well, for me, the word consciousness just points to an experience of knowing, of separation.
Consciousness is separation.
Yeah.
So this that we're speaking of precedes.
No, it includes the experience of consciousness, but a consciousness doesn't include it. Or isn't included by it. It's just an appearance in what is of an experience of consciousness.
Consciousness would be like an egg yolk in the Venn diagram.
Yeah. I'm not sure about the Venn diagram, but like an
Like-
egg yolk.
Yeah, like
Yeah. It's something that seems to be specifically happening, rather than simply what is. The egg yolk is really I am.
The egg yolk is I am.
Yeah.
And what's the egg white?
Well, there isn't an egg white in that sense because there's no limit to what is. So you'd have to say the egg yolk and the egg white are the same thing. They're both just part of a dream.
Scrambled. Talking about scrambled eggs.
Yeah. They're just both part of a dream that what is real, limited, definable, experienceable because of me, because I have that experience. Literally because I'm sitting on a chair. And that's the bane of existence. I'm sitting on a chair. What's truly longed for is sitting on a chair without anyone knowing it. It's that simple. It's got nothing to do with anything else.
But this feeling of stress in the body, that the tension never...
That's not a feeling. No, what we're talking about, if you're talking about what you heard in the videos about there's a contraction, a tension in the body out of which the I am comes, you don't know what that is until it falls away.
All right.
Yeah, you can't do anything about it. The effort to do something about it is just a confirmation that process seems to happen.
All right. Isn't like a suicide a radical, attempt to stop feeling this tension?
Suicide?
Yeah.
No, suicide's just an effort to find a better experience.
Oh.
You almost describe it as a muscle that untenses.
Yeah, it does.
Maybe that you don't realize it's been tense before because
Totally.
like when you're sitting for a long time and you realize that you're tense and then you relax.
Yeah.
You don't even realize that you were tense before.
It's more profound than that,
I would hope.
but it's certainly not what you expect.
But
Because in a very real way, this isn't what is expected. It's the actual experience of knowing what this is that hides the aliveness that it is.
can you say that again? I'm sorry.
It's the experience of knowing what this is, knowing they're sitting on a chair, that hides that sitting on a chair is absolutely new. It's just aliveness sitting on a chair.
Jim, I'm almost 20 minutes thinking and a little bit scary to ask you because I feel scary when I need to speak English.
Yeah, I understand.
So I want to ask you one thing. What happened to me 2 years ago? I was watching Alan Watts on YouTube and realized that everything is happening as I want. Something I'm not able to describe, but something happened with my body. I was crying and smiling for several minutes, and for 3 days I moved into the inner state of mind, easily described as I was out of mind. The thoughts were something like clouds. I felt that I don't need to read any other book by Eckhart Tolle. I realized that that you are talking about same thing always. Jestli nepozorovat, prosím.
Observe.
I realized that everything is only about observation.
Observation.
And in this state of mind, I was feeling absolutely realized or free. Every emotions what were around me, I felt that they are coming. I'm not supposed to feel them. I'm not supposed to observe the thoughts. The thoughts are here, but I know the thoughts. I was out of mind. And I realized also that why I am in a limited state of mind is because of fear. Only fear can keep you in this state of mind. But suddenly, after 3 days, it's gone, and I'm already in the limited mind, and I know it. And do not want to, and I know that I am not able to do anything with it. Maybe I just wait for some miracle, but I know it will not come. When když má přijít, tak přijde.
When it's supposed to come, it will come.
So can you tell me something about this experience 3 years ago?
Well, it just sounds like an awakening. So, an awakening, there's still some me, there's still an I am in there having the experience and afterwards thinking it knew what happened. And it doesn't. And so it probably changed you in some way, put you on a path. It's probably the worst thing that happened to you and the best thing at the same time. But in the end, it has nothing to do with you. And you're absolutely right. There's nothing you can do about it because there isn't a you to do anything about it.
Almost 1 year after this realization was very hard for me because I was trying to move somehow into this state of mind.
But you think you know what happened. You got no idea what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Suddenly happened.
But it was so powerful, and when it was happening, you might not have been really thrilled about it. You might have been scared. And then when it was gone, you realized it's all you wanted. And so you built a story around wanting it. You can't want it. And you don't know what it was. You don't remember it.
It was just free.
It's just free.
Just free.
But this is free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's same. It's still same.
Yeah.
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 It's hard to explain in English for me.
Oh, you did great.
But
I understood it all.
But I think I was 20 minutes. I was thinking and fighting with me inside to ask you.
Yeah.
And finally I did it. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Would you say this is smiling? This is smiling, would you say?
No, it's actually completely neutral.
Without quality.
Well, you can't say that really. That would be some sort of state. It contains all qualities.
It's hard to look at you sometimes.
I know. I try to turn the glow down or something. It's just not so easy.
No, it's just like something.
I know, there is.
Are you a theist? Do you have a...
Seriously?
Yeah.
How do you put that into what we're talking about?
Depending on your answer, I'm going to try to add that to what's going on.
There isn't anyone here. Oh. Is that 30%, right?
Now I really feel like I'm in the jungle.
Yeah.
There isn't anyone here.
No, there isn't an observer. The knower, the observer, is an illusion. And it's only the knower observer that then needs an explanation for why this is. And then it comes up with a story like God. Because there literally isn't an explanation for this. And it doesn't need one.
So the awakening he was describing still happens in the dream, yeah? It's like,
No, his memory happens in the dream. The awakening is no dream.
okay,
Yeah.
all right. So it's like momentary lack of dream or? Like,
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's timeless lack of dream.
But yeah, but the state was gone after like 3 days. Yeah.
No, it isn't gone, and it's not a state. It's
Okay.
this.
Okay.
But there's an experience that comes back that says that happened to me, or I know what happened.
I was describing to my friends because they didn't understand me absolutely that it's like when you are in the clouds and suddenly you are out of clouds,
Yeah.
and then after 3 days,
But see, you're not out of the clouds. There's no you.
yeah, it's only description of
Yeah.
how.
But it's totally, that's all we're talking about. And the experience of me is that the clouds are, when I am in the clouds, when I own clouds. And then I try to solve all the things that come with me in the clouds. But the clouds are just clouds. There is no solution for clouds. That somebody owns them is a dream.
What are your thoughts on the accessibility to this notion that we're speaking of? Is it
Oh, it's completely inaccessible.
inaccessible to all of us present here in the room equally?
No, there's no one present here.
There's no one present in the
No,
room.
there's only, if there's someone here, there's only one dream here, and that's there. There's only one dream, and that dream can't find what we're looking for because it's not separate. The dream is it is.
Is this similar to the dream state? When I dream during the night, is also
No, not at
something
all.
similar like this?
No.
So it's not equivalent. And what's the difference between those two?
The difference between the two, so you want me to describe nothing?
I'm sorry?
So in the dream state, there's someone dreaming.
It's opposite the case. I think when I recall the dream, I don't remember myself dreaming as I am.
No, you don't remember yourself dreaming, but you remember yourself in the dream. As an actor.
Yes, but not as a me.
No, as an actor. And so this has no actor. There's nobody owning the clouds.
So it's the same.
No, it's not. In the dream, there's an actor called me.
Oh my God.
I act, I do. Maybe you have different dreams than I got.
Is part of the struggle trying to release this kind of observer-centric view?
No, the whole struggle is the experience I am. And it's convinced, it's just, I am is dependent on experience. I am is an experience, and so it is convinced that the way out is through experience. And experience is just part of the dream. It's just another form of knowing. So that's the struggle. That's the that's the hopelessness of the situation, of trying to find no experience through experience.
And is point of view equal to ownership?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Yeah. A real point of view. Because I couldn't say that there's no point
So
of view.
what's there? Is there a point of view?
Yeah, you couldn't say there is or there isn't.
Yeah.
There's no distance between you and the character. Or like, there's no...
There isn't a me.
Right, so it's just character.
Yeah, well, that's, yeah, if you like. There's just what is.
I mean, that's brilliant because because here there was a lot of like, trying to, or shame about the character. Like, I don't know, I just had the thought, like, I don't know, I had it, but it arose that, oh, maybe I want to go get an ear piercing or something. And I was like, no, that's bad. Like, stop. Like, you're seeking, stop it. Like, that's not, you know, and it's like, I guess it doesn't, anything can arise or there's no like, rules or categories or anything. But for me, there is.
Yeah, for me, yeah.
Yeah. Because I think that there's this sort of conscious intention to not seek that I need to do.
Yeah.
And I need to keep reminding myself and
Yeah.
check in throughout
Apply
the day.
non-duality.
All right, what percentage of seeking am I having? You know? So is there actually no such thing as seeking?
Oh, there is. There's just no one doing it. You can actually see the effects of seeking. Religion,
Right.
gurus.
But you can't find the source. Or
No. No, but not finding the source is still someone not finding the source.
So there's no one trying to find the source, really.
There's trying to find the source, no one does it. It's the experience of ownership, the ownership of the clouds.
But there's there is
No, it's an
one to own
illusion.
it.
That and waiting for it to drop away is a hopeless, what do you say? Zeitvertreib. Time. It's not realized. The me isn't realized as it falls away. It's realized it never was.
That's incredible because when it was apparently happening, it felt so real.
Yeah. Well,
Or it didn't happen.
to itself, yeah, to
Right,
itself. And that's the reality of it. And it's in that separate reality that it tries to find the solution to itself.
Yeah.
It only lives in separation.
If I can ask my most naive question yet, because I think I'm probably the newest person to this, maybe in the room. Does non-duality have a definition that you can somehow define?
Well, it's not a thing,
Does it have a definition?
but it's not a thing.
Can it be?
How could it be defined if it's not a thing? That's why you could say not to.
Well, I can't form a sentence without using it.
Yeah, yeah.
It, which it is not, has a name, and that name is non-duality.
But what is non-duality? It says not to, not duality. So it isn't actually affirming anything.
Can we define duality in that case?
Yeah. I am a subject-object reality. Yeah.
Why do you
No
call
way.
it duality?
Because it requires two positions, two real positions.
I am.
I am. are two positions. Two real positions. I know.
So such that like I exist, for example.
Yeah.
And that is two positions.
Yeah. Knowing is a position. And as soon as there's a position, there's another position. That's the entire experience of I am. I am real, everything's real.
And that's
duality.
This non-thing that we're describing is the cessation of that.
Yes. Well, it's not the cessation of that. It's not happening. It only happens to itself. It has no reality outside of the experience itself. That's why when I said before, it's only there's not another one.
When a child is trying to hide, they just stick their head under
That's right.
the bed, and their whole body is still visible, but because they can no longer see anyone else, they assume that no one else can see them either.
Yeah.
Is that touching on it?
Yeah. There's just what is. But that's just, we're talking about naivety. But, become as kids. Become as children, that's it.
Innocent.
Yeah.
Pure.
Yeah.
Like the garden.
Yeah, but not something to find. It's that it is already.
Yeah.
If I understand meditation, at least on a surface level, it is goal-oriented in that it's kind of a disillusion of the I concept.
Yeah.
How does that map together?
Owning the clouds. Trying to get rid of the ownership of clouds through owning the clouds.
And the eye is not real, but let's do something to make the eye disappear.
Yeah.
It's really like...
Yeah, I'm not real, so what do I do about it?
Yeah.
So I can never decide to stop existing. Never.
No.
Even if it's clear for the eye.
That just confirms the experience of existing.
But it seems so real, like
So real.
The tension in the body, like it feels like it's happening to someone, yeah, and it's very.
You do not know the tension I'm talking about. I said, no, the tension I'm talking about out of which the I am arises isn't conscious.
Yeah, but like the body can feel that there's something wrong with it, because.
Well, but that's an experience of I am that something can be wrong.
Sorry,
That's an experience of I am that something's wrong. But that's not the core, the tension out of which the I am arises. It's completely unexpected. It has nothing to do with you being aware of it.
Yeah.
Or relaxing.
Huh. And this situation is like sudden, and this tension is completely gone in a moment.
Yeah.
Or no gradual, okay. Yeah.
It's actually different, seems different for everybody.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
But you often say that it's not worth mentioning, yeah?
No.
But well, feels like it's kind of change, yeah,
Yeah, because there's a real happening there, looking for a real happening, expecting that it's only through a real happening that it's going to find what it's looking for. That's just the dream, that something really has to happen.
So the body doesn't care if it's tensed or not, yeah?
Well, I think the body does. It gets tense and then it has problems. It gets sick if it has too much tension. But this doesn't. It's obviously quite happening with very tense bodies and very untense bodies.
Yeah, but I just mean that this feeling of an eye is like deeper sense of, yeah, like the physical pain.
There isn't an eye. You're trying to get rid of something that isn't happening.
But if someone slapped you, you film.
No, I'd move out of the way like Neo in the Matrix. Can't hit me, man. No, what? I'm sorry.
The physical feelings.
Yeah. They still happen, yeah, but not for anyone. And if you hit me, it probably hurt.
Okay, so there's no one here or there, and but like some of the bodies have this contracted energy and
Yeah.
some don't, yeah?
Yeah.
So what's the difference between like
That. And in the contracted experience, there'll be a dream going that the appearance has meaning and purpose, that it has somehow lack in it, and that it's up to it to figure that out. And it wants to figure it out through experience, understanding, and knowing. Not because it has control of those things, but because it owns those things. They arise all on their own. It says they belong to me, that's my material I'm going to use to find the solution.
yeah, but what I meant is that it seems that this malware eye creates this tension, yeah? And
Yeah, it's the other way around.
okay.
Well, it does create some tension. Of course it does.
Yeah.
But it's not the tension we're talking about. Of course it creates tension.
Yeah.
With trying to become, it's in a process. The individual lives in a process. And it's always trying to become. That's its whole thing. It's trying to look for a better experience. What's truly longed for isn't an experience. It's this.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Wah wah. The baby cries. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like this when you don't know what this is.
Excuse me?
It's like this when you don't know what this is. When nobody knows.
When no one knows what it is, there's no seeking. But it's still this, even if seeking. We're not trying, this message or this meeting isn't about a process of getting rid of me. It's that what arises is free.
Including me.
Yeah, of course.
Could a base reality or something like this be in some way a synonym?
No.
No.
No, that would be sort of like a fixed point, something really happening, a base reality. You could, in some ways, I think I've called it a natural reality.
Natural reality.
Yeah, and an artificial reality. The artificial reality is the experience of separation. And the natural reality is that there's no intrinsic need in the appearance.
Yeah, just saying base kind of is
Sounds
temporal.
fundamental.
yeah, fundamental base, not necessarily in space, but like a tapestry of
Yeah.
So a natural reality is what's being
Pointed to.
pointed to, described.
Yeah, well, it's not actually being pointed to or described because there's nothing outside of it. It's only the dream of separation that says there's something outside of it and something needs to happen. But that is also the natural reality of dreaming, it's an artificial reality. It's all inclusive. There's literally nothing to hold on to.
Doesn't sound very optimistic.
No, not for me. Not for the experience that something needs to happen. No, this is terrible to that experience. This is the worst thing you could hear.
Right. Because he's falling in all directions forever.
Well, it's interesting. Because really what's being said is, what's longed for is perfection. What is already perfect. And that a separate experience goes, yeah, but what about me? That sounds horrible. Because it doesn't actually want perfection. It can't want what is. It wants something for itself because it thinks that something needs to be added to itself for it to be whole. And that entire experience is wholeness appearing as that.
It sounds like ego.
What do you mean? Ego I find is a funny word. I don't know what to do with it really.
It's also one of these things that's kind of defined and undefined at the same time.
Yeah,
The driver and the passenger at the same time.
I don't know.
But in this perfection you described, the sense of I is also included, yeah?
Absolutely. There is nothing that's not already
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just the sense of I will never be able to know that, which is how it stays hidden to it.
But there's nothing wrong with this.
Absolutely not.
sense. Yeah.
Absolutely not. There's nothing wrong with anything.
Yeah.
There's nothing right with anything.
Yeah.
You can't know it, but you say it's unavoidable.
Yeah, it is already.
Yeah, right. And that's not known.
No. There's no one to know it.
Yeah, and those words are sort of meaningless to me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have experience of no experience. Like,
To me, it sounds like a linguistic research project that was started 20 years ago, and just to see how long it could run.
Feel that they found us out.
Yeah. I'll never be seen again.
That's right. Yeah.
my mom was right.
Moms are always right.
What about the cause and effect?
They're apparent cause and effect.
Apparently.
Meaning it's not real. It appears, but it's not real. It is and it isn't.
In your talks, and when people are asking questions that run the gamut from questions like my own to people that have been studying this for however long, would you say as the listener that there's a certain range of accuracy in a person trying to describe their version of this understanding to you that's closer or further from how you appreciate it, or is it a black and white, all or nothing?
Yeah, black or white, all or nothing.
Black or white, all or nothing. So there's no approaching. There's no one who's closer, someone who's further.
That's right.
There's just a person who either gets it or a person who does not.
Yeah. Nobody actually gets it.
The person who gets it, they don't get it.
Is somebody, there's a body that's no longer seeking. Nobody gets it. This didn't accomplish anything.
It's ungettable.
There's no authority.
Could you explain how this is not per this time, practice?
It's not really happening.
Because everything is just happening and nobody can do anything.
No,
about
it's
it.
not that nobody can do anything. There isn't anyone.
Yes, so nobody can do anything.
No,
It's
there's not. It's
if
not
there
that
is-
nobody can do anything. It's that there isn't anyone.
Yes, there is nobody. So nobody can do anything about it.
What you set up there is that there's somebody who can't do anything, and that's not. And that's
No,
not.
I mean, there's nobody, there's no me. So there is nobody who could do anything about this, change it. So then it seems like fate or what will happen will happen. Nobody can.
But that's what you get when you put in. There's nobody can do anything about it, because you get something really happening. But it's not that there's nobody that can do anything about it. It's that there's no one, and then there's nothing to do anything about because it's not really happening.
So when you say it's real and unreal, and for example you say it's formless form, so this paradoxical nature of the statement is purposeful? Is it,
Oh yeah, well, because
it needs to be like a con, yeah, to stop like.
well, because this can't be understood.
Yeah, but the description is purposeful, yeah, or
Because it points to the fact that this can't be understood.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find myself butting up against that as well.
So back in the day when apparent Jim was attending Tony Parsons' meetings, what was the reason he come back to the meetings? Was there?
Why did Jim come back to the meetings?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was the closest I could get to home.
So was it like kind of seeking, or
Yeah,
still
seeking.
it was seeking?
In a way, it was seeking
Yeah.
because it was quickly. Jim quickly gave up any effort to try to understand what was being said
Yeah.
because it just was so obviously impenetrable. But at the same time, there was something being touched.
So it was like just body having fun, yeah, and being
Fun.
or
I used to take 2 packs of Kleenex with me. 2. One wasn't enough.
just feeling okay, like
Something was completely in love with something it didn't
Yeah.
understand.
because I was wondering because is the word resonance kind of knowing? Is
No, well,
it's
no.
not, no. Is it so? It's not like a nicer word to say.
I know.
I know.
No. If I knew I could hold on to it, I could take it home with me.
So what is this resonance, and what's resonating
Nothing.
with nothing?
Because that's actually what's speaking, nothing. In the same way as the floor is nothing and the body is nothing. The experience of the individual is this is all about something. And the message is it's all about nothing. Even the experience is about something. It's just simply about nothing. Which doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
You described it as neutral.
Yeah. Equilibrium.
Which can seem empty.
It is empty.
It is empty.
And fulfilled.
And emptiness for us is jarring, obviously.
Well, the idea of it.
Yeah.
Because it's
Lonely.
nothing to you and you're looking for something. like it was pointed out before, the suggestion is this is perfect already. What does that do to the seeker?
Makes him give up the search.
No, it doesn't. but it makes them irrelevant.
It could make him give up the search logically if this was
Yeah, but
perfect.
this isn't logical. Isn't
Well,
it
that-
about
that much
it isn't.
clearer.
It isn't. Yeah, it isn't about the individual finding this. It's that there isn't one.
So giving up searching is still doing something.
Oh yeah.
Yet another ego strategy. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
It's still just part of the experience that something needs to happen.
Yeah.
That there's real separation. The problem for the individual, as we're talking about, is there's no problem.
Again, I'm unfamiliar with the territory. Are there others in the field that you would say are your contemporaries in this thinking?
I like Tony. It's actually quite original, what came out of him. It's not his message, of course. It's like it's not mine. But for some reason or other, over the hundreds of years that people have been talking about non-duality, it's always had a little bit of a fleck, a bit
Spot.
of dirt, a spot on it. And the spot is always that there's someone or there's something that needs to happen. So you can hear this all over the place, but there's always the added extra that there's someone or there's something that needs to happen.
Some epiphany.
So anything, just whatever it is. It always leaves the individual as a real experience that needs to be overcome.
As a seeker.
Yeah. Then the epiphany needs to happen, that something needs to happen. And it just never does.
I was big into Ken Wilber for a while.
Mm.
You know, and he has a pretty codified system of stages of development of consciousness.
Yeah.
You know, I definitely wasn't at the non-dual level, non-dual awareness, and I wanted to do that.
Yeah.
It's funny how it's like those non-dual messages which still address an individual, they're in a lot of ways extremely misleading because they're like, they say they're so close, or they say they're like the best, or like,
I think it's probably one of the worst things,
yeah,
spirituality.
yeah. Yeah, really.
Because it mixes this message with something you need to do. And this what we're talking about just has nothing to do with that separate experience. It's merely saying separate experience is an illusion. There's nothing wrong with therapy, mindfulness, trying to be better, taking care of yourself. Oh, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the perfection that is unreachable because it is already everything.
When you say it's not separate, it implies by opposite that it could be collective, but that's not it either.
You lost me there.
Because like when you say something is it's not separate,
No, it doesn't imply the opposite.
it doesn't imply the opposite, which is interesting as well. Because like when you're speaking about it and you're answering questions, I keep coming back to like, is this some sort of a description of what, you know, some kind of frou-frou people would, like a universal consciousness? It's not that either,
No.
at all.
Not at all, no.
But when you say it's non-separate,
It just means
leads
it's
me
not
to
separate.
believe or think that it could be like this description of a collective
Yeah.
effect, but it's
Yeah.
not that either.
Well, I don't know what you mean by collective effect. It's an unlimited. It's unlimited. It's not separate. It's without limits. It's boundless.
It's not necessarily accessible because it just is.
Exactly. Well, it just is all inclusive. That's why it's not accessible. The experience that it is, or the experience of separation, undermines or denies the reality that it's all inclusive.
It's inaccessible because that would imply that there was a period before where you weren't accessing
It's
it.
not about time. It's about experience of separation. It's an experience of knowing and understanding. The ownership of knowing and understanding. So there's nothing wrong with knowing and understanding. It's that there's no one that really owns it. No one that really does it.
So there's nothing wrong with right and wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah, because I was like, oh no, like morality is bad, like there should be no more human rights day, like, but it doesn't, like, why not?
Yes.
You know? Why not try to be more thoughtful or caring or like empathetic or like,
Yeah.
Is there any, would you say that there's any practicality
No.
accessible here? No.
No. Absolutely not. Exactly not.
Right. In relation to the question I asked before about if there's such a thing as approaching this, or if it's just an on-off once it happens, not it, of course. But,
Yeah.
in that, by that same token, do you feel yourself progressing somehow within the mindset of this?
No.
No. It hasn't changed. It hasn't.
No.
You haven't felt like you've gotten more information about it.
No. Less information.
Less.
That's a surprising bit, is that it's much less.
Than that first whatever.
Well, than anything, because the individual is always thinking it's going to be more, but really it's less.
There's a desire to quantify as well, which
Well,
is,
the whole thing of it has an experience that something is missing, and so it tries to add to itself. All it has is knowing and experience and understanding, and so it uses those things to try to add to itself. And this is revealed in the emptiness of all of that, in the loss of all of that. Nothing's lost because nobody has anything. But anyway, that the apparent dream loss of that.
you're quite like a dog, Jim. I find, no, I didn't mean that in the best way possible. No, really, because it's sometimes when I look at a dog. No, or should I say a puppy?
Deep hole.
A cute, very cute puppy.
it's a deep hole to climb out.
That deep hole. He's digging.
Well, I figured there's no you to offend anyways. No, but no, it's the purity of it, or the. I don't mean
God, let me be the person my dog thinks I am.
Wait, is that a quote or something?
Yeah,
That's
I've
on a
heard it
coffee mug.
somewhere. Huh?
That's on a coffee
A
mug.
coffee mug. It's a coffee mug. It's a Hallmark card. Thanks, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you.